We're going underground, underground. Let's talk about the Westeros Sea underground. Let's talk about places under Westeros. So, hey, and welcome, or welcome back if you're returning. Obviously, the story of A Song of Ice and Fire is leading to the Long Night, the most dreadful of winters, and the return and takeover of the others, the White Walkers, these icy beings coming down from the north. Today I want to talk about how I think civilization survived their previous attack and worst winters, and how I think the folk of today's Westeros will survive their coming long night underground. It's clear that these spaces were used in the past, so let's take a look at places we know of and see how they can be useful. Let's start in the south and work our way up, because I'm excited to talk about these caves that Arianne finds in the Winds of Winter sample chapter. She's travelling from Dorne to Storm's End and shelters at the mouth of a cave with a party. A young and willful Ilya Sand goes off exploring inside and doesn't return, so Arianne and the others venture off in to find a series of twisty passageways led down and down, with black holes snaking off to either side. Further in, the walls opened up again, and the searchers found themselves in a vast limestone cavern, larger than the great hall of a castle. This cavern has 3 passageways leading off from it, and Arianne's turning steep and wet, and at the end, she found herself in another cavern, 5 times as big as the last one, surrounded by a forest of stone columns. The stone columns are carved into the shapes of faces. I wonder if that's actually stone though, because that sounds creepy. And they find Delia catching blind fish, which is just like the cave Bran and Bloodraven are in. But we'll come back to them. It's a good sign for life being able to exist underground, and human life being able to exist there and feed those taking refuge. Assuming that the water isn't dirtier than Septum Meribolt's feet, and that the fish supply lasts. It's still a good sign. It also just sounds like a really big place that a lot of people in the area could reside, and who knows where those tunnels lead to. They could lead to the same ones that the ancestors of House Toland hid in when resisting Aegon the Conqueror. Their sigil is a dragon eating its own tail, Valena said. From the days of Aegon's conquest, he did not conquer here. Elsewhere he burned his foes, him and his sisters. But here we melted away before them, leaving only stone and sand for them to burn. And round the dragons went, snapping at their tails for want of any other food, till they were tied in knots. It's believed that House Toland hid underground. Where else were they going to have gone? Maybe the sigil for House Other should be an icy man biting his own foot. Throughout the Midlands of Westeros, we do get a few hints of things underground. Casterly Rock has mines, famous mines, but that's more into a mountain than underground. However, nearby we do have Castamere, which is the former seat of House Rain, and their residence was built into the former mine shafts. This was used against them, though, by Tywin Lannister when he dammed a nearby river and flooded them out. That can lead into theory territory as well, because who knows where their tunnels led to and if a few members of their family could have survived. In the Riverlands, the Brotherhood without banners also make use of spaces under hills, with their underground tunnels and passageways linking places, like where Brienne is staying after getting her face munched off by Biter, to where she then meets Lady Stoneheart. The walls were equal parts stone and soil, with huge white roots twisting through them like 1,000 slow pale snakes. People were emerging between those roots as she watched, edging out from the shadows for a look at the captives, stepping from the mouths of pitch-black tunnels. popping out of crannies and crevices on all sides. In one place on the far side of the fire, the roots formed a kind of stairway up to a hollow in the earth, where a man sat, almost lost in the tangle of weirwood. Even Arya can attest to the vastness of these tunnels, and refers to them being used to host, villages of people. Big as the fire was, the cave was bigger. It was hard to tell where it began and where it ended. The tunnel mouths might have been 2 feet deep or gone on 2 miles. Arya saw men and women and little children, all of them watching her warily. Next up, let's travel to Winterfell. So the crypts are obviously underground. And firstly, the entrance is really hard to find, which is obviously good for hiding. Theon has to go and show Lady Dustin to them because she can't find them on her own and wants to go and look upon them for herself. The Stark children are very familiar with the crypts of their most recent ancestors being on the first level. They would even go and play in there. Bran and Rickon hide in the crypts when the castle is being taken over. And there's even the tale of Bale the Bard supposedly abducting a young Stark girl and whisking her away, but they were just hiding in the crypts. Nobody really knows how old or deep these levels of crypts go, because the lowest ones that we can access are sunken in, and so we don't know how low they go. Perhaps they link down to other ones, and if Bran escapes, who knows. Beyond Winterfell and before the wall, there's a village that you could just easily ride straight on through because 3/4 of it is underground. Molestown is basically all in cellars underground and connected by tunnels. There doesn't seem to be any reason that the village is underground other than it being a place to hide from the cold. So in a long night, horrible winter situation, hiding underground is reinforced to be a good place to go. Beyond the wall, the wildlings tell a story of an underground tunnel system that's used by a former king beyond the wall, Dorne, so it's called Dorne's Way. It's supposed to lead down under the wall to the south, and this king beyond the wall took his brother Gendel, so Gorn and Gendel went down south of the wall. Jon believes that both brothers died south of the wall, which must be the story that they tell in the Seven Kingdoms, but Ygritte tells him that Gendel survived and he tried to bring his people back north through this tunnel system. Gendel did not know the caves as Gorn had, and took a wrong turn. Soon his torches began to fail, one by one, till finally there was naught but dark. Gendel's folk were never seen again, but on a still night you can hear their children's children sobbing under the hills, still looking for the way back up. Listen, do you hear them? All Jon could hear was the falling water and the faint crackle of flames. This way under the wall was lost as well. Some have searched for it. Them that go too deep find Gendel's children, and Gendel's children are always hungry. Which leads me on to the final and creepiest of all the underground places we know of, Bloodraven's Cave. Bran, Hodor, Mira, and Jojen are led by cold hands from the wall to this cave the three-eyed crow is in. It's under a giant weirwood tree, and the entrance is seemingly protected by magic. It's hosting Bloodraven in its roots, literally, and some children of the forest, or singers if you want to be Westerosi politically correct about it. They refer to themselves as those who sing the song of the earth, so singers. The creepiest part of this cave is the hole that Bran finds when he's walking into Hodor and going off exploring. It's a room with seemingly dead bodies of children of the forest, entwined with the roots of the weirwood. As he crossed in front of them, their eyes would open and follow the light of his torch, and one of them opened and closed a wrinkled mouth as if he were trying to speak. big side note from the theme of this video, but what are they doing there? They're like still being used in some way. I feel like they're controlling the others, you know, the White Walkers. This cave system also has caverns larger than main halls of castles. Mira ventures down into the black abyss and comes across a lake with blind fish, similar to the one that Elia Sand finds, and that gives the whole theory that maybe it's all connected and Bran can build a canoe and end up in Dorne. I don't know if that's a theory or not, but you get the drift. There's a lot of underground tunnel systems, and they seem to be a great way to survive the long night. Then the children of the forest know about them, so if they are controlling the others, then that's not great. And they also have the magic, so they can't protect the entrances. Maybe I'm just talking a load of shit. What do you think about the underground systems? You know, let me know. If you like the video, then, you know, like it. If you're not subscribed, then why? And if you are subscribed, then thank you. Cheerio.